6 hours after Tristan's departure, Baldur's army launched an offensive against the volunteer army. As Grant had predicted, enemy troops were targeting the two bridges leading to Doriapolo. The volunteer army, who had been anticipating the attack for a long time, were able to easily repel the first wave of attacks.
I don't think they're going to let us rest here, but we can't lose.
As to counter Yorkaf's cry, two huge dragons emerged from the blue sky above. While gliding on huge wings with massive bodies wrapped in blue scales, they descended towards the center of the volunteer army's ranks. The enemy intended to have the dragons attack the center of the volunteer army and crush their troops at once.
What kind of devilry have you thrown in?
As the beasts descended further, various spells accompanied by a host of arrows were hurled at them. However, despite being attacked, the dragons landed in the center of the volunteer army's ranks. With a burst of excitement, the samurai master Trevor struck the dragon's neck. Each unit concentrated its attacks on the suffering dragon to stop it. The other dragon carelessly sucked the stun cloud released by one of the witches and was paralyzed.
What happened? Did you defeat it?
He's paralyzed, so I'm waiting for that one to die first.
If he's paralyzed, I'll poke him in the right spot and knock him down. Bring a ladder.
A number of ladders were brought in and were combined to form a makeshift platform. Yorkaf used it to climb onto the dragon's body and knock the beast down with a single blow. It seemed that the key point that could be reached was under the 7th cartilage of the left wing, and it could only be defeated by piercing it to the core. Cautiously climbing onto the dragon's body, Yorkaf carefully grasped the base of his left wing. As described in the ancient documents he had seen, the cartilage of the dragon appeared to rise from under the scales.
Here!
Yorkaf pulled out his sword, aimed carefully, and in one motion plunged his great sword into the dragon's body. With a terrible scream, the dragon stood up on his hind legs. The recoil of the tail knocked Yorkaf off the dragon's back. At the same time, several people were knocked down by the tail that swung wildly from side to side. But it wasn't long before the dragon slowly rolled over and ceased to move. Yorkaf, who was knocked backwards, found he had fallen 10 meters away.
Did I?
He was able to defeat a strong enemy while taking almost no damage. In this way, even in a desperate situation of 10-1, there was a chance of victory.
New enemy. Now it's a wyvern.
But Yorkaf's hopes were shattered by the cries of his comrades. He looked at the sky and saw 4 wyverns coming towards him.
It seems that they really don't want to let us rest.
The fierce battle had only just begun. Two days had already passed since the volunteer army had begun their desperate battle. Heavily damaged by Baldur's relentless army, the volunteer army troops were still guarding the eastern and western bridges. Meanwhile, Tristan, led by Orzhov, fortunately managed to enter Orma without being detected by enemy troops. The invasion was later than planned, and it was already midnight by the time they entered.
Is this Orma?
The city was supposed to have 20,000 inhabitants, but there were no people on the streets, and it looked like the city was uninhabited.
Where is Baldur?
I've heard he resides inside there.
Thank you, Orzhov. You've fulfilled your task now. We'll be okay from here.
No, I'll go to the end too. I can't fight. but I want to see you fight to the end.
It's dangerous.
Even so, I will protect myself as best I can.
Tristan, it's too dangerous.
I think so too. But I feel it's just as dangerous to leave him alone here.
If you say so.
You can come with us. But if you think it's dangerous, just run away. You don't have to stop and fight with us.
All right. If it gets dangerous, I'll run away by myself.
It's weird. There's not even a gatekeeper for the castle.
Did they go to capture Doria Polo without leaving anyone behind?
I'm starting to think this Balder isn't here either.
At this point, we can't help but get lost. Anyway, let's find where Balder is.
If Balder was out to capture Doria Apollo, it meant that Tristan's operation had completely failed.
From what I've heard, he's often in the audience chamber.
Audience chamber?
That's right. He seems to gather followers there to talk.
Where is it?
According to what I've heard, it seems to be the back of the first floor of the castle.
All right, we should search the back of the first floor. Here.
I'll open it.
Tristan and Cain stood in front of the right and left doors and kicked them open on cue. The doors made a heavy noise as they opened slowly. Inside, the room was dimly lit and it was impossible to see into the depths.
Welcome.
At the same time that the voice sounded, the closed windows in the room opened one by one. The faint light of the midnight sun shone through the window and illuminated the room. At the back of the large room, supported by 6 large pillars, was a shabby-looking throne. Balder was standing beside it.